Buckingham Palace had long stood as a symbol of British stability, its gates and guards protecting centuries of unshakable tradition. Inside, Queen Elizabeth II moved through her duties with the same steadiness, embodying continuity in an uncertain world. But in the summer of 1982, the walls meant to shield the monarchy were proven alarmingly thin. That July, an unemployed decorator named Michael Fagan managed to do what no one imagined possible. He broke into Buckingham Palace, not just once, but twice. His second intrusion would carry him not only past security, but straight into the Queen's bedroom. It was a stunning lapse that raised questions about the vulnerability of the royal family, the competence of palace security, and of course, indirectly, the nation's confidence in its institutions. Love Tudor scandals? Well, join my Tudors Secret Challenge, a free 7-part email series with true stories, raw betrayals, and a free gift each week. Sign up at the link below. And now, let's get back to this week's story. Fagan's first entry into the palace was almost comically surreal. He climbed a drain pipe and slipped through an unlocked window, completely unnoticed. A housemaid spotted him, but when she alerted the police on duty, her warning was brushed off. As he moved through the royal residence, Fagan tripped 3 separate alarm systems, but again officers assumed the system was malfunctioning and simply turned it off. For over 30 minutes, Fagan wandered freely. He admired artwork, strolled into the throne room, and drank an entire bottle of wine that had been sent to Prince Charles and Princess Diana as a congratulatory gift after the birth of Prince William. He even found some cheese and crackers along the way and helped himself. Eventually, he walked out the same way he came in, and yet no one stopped him. Two weeks later, in the early hours of the 9th of July 1982, Fagan returned. At around 6 a.m. under the pale light of a London morning, he scaled the same walls once again. This time his entry was messier. He broke a glass ashtray in an anteroom and cut his hand. He was barefoot, bleeding and drunk. Still, no one intercepted him. More than an hour later, he entered the Queen's private quarters, and according to reports, the Queen woke to find a stranger in her bedroom. He was sitting on her bed, speaking softly. She pressed the alarm at her bedside, but the officer responsible for guarding her room had gone off duty, and an earlier alarm had already been dismissed, once again as a glitch. Alone with an intruder, the Queen kept calm. Paul Wybrew, a 20-year-old royal footman known affectionately among staff as Tall Paul, had been walking the Queen's corgis. Hearing the disturbance, he entered the room. Fagan reportedly asked to speak with the Queen, and Wybrew answered, "Well, all right, but let's get her dressed first." Fagan kept trying to get closer, and Wybrew, unarmed but composed, stood in his way. Later in his police statement, Wybrew recalled trying to de-escalate the moment. "The man seemed very tense," he said, and I said, "Would you like a drink?" "Yes, please," Fagan replied. "I'll have some scotch." Wybrew handed him a whiskey and stayed with him until the police arrived. It had been nearly 10 minutes since Fagan entered the Queen's room. "I want to talk to the Queen. My Queen." Fagan's motives were muddled. He reportedly told Wybrew and the returning housemaid that he wanted to talk to the Queen about his troubles. "I want to talk to the Queen, my Queen," he kept saying. But this wasn't the act of a man with a clear plan. He had no weapon, no demands, and no apparent agenda. And when officers finally arrived and asked for his name, he answered Rudolf Hess from Spandau, referring to Hitler's former deputy. The incident horrified the public and embarrassed Scotland Yard. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher offered the Queen a personal apology. The Metropolitan Police admitted officers had failed to follow protocol. Security was tightened immediately. with more patrols, stronger gates, and more rigorous procedures. Home Secretary Willie Whitelaw offered to resign over the incident, but Thatcher refused to accept it. One of the most shocking revelations came in the aftermath. Entering the Queen's bedroom, indeed, trespassing inside Buckingham Palace itself, was not technically a criminal offence. At the time, it fell under civil law. Fagan couldn't be prosecuted for breaking into the Queen's private quarters because no law had been broken in the eyes of the criminal justice system. He was instead charged with theft for drinking the bottle of wine during his earlier visit, but even that didn't stick. The jury acquitted him, believing he drank it out of thirst and not with criminal intent. This legal loophole now exposed how outdated the laws surrounding road protection were. Fagan's case pushed the government to reconsider how road security was handled under the law, but it took time. It wasn't until 2007, a full 25 years later, that trespassing on road premises officially became a criminal offence. Under the Serious Organised Crime and Police Act of 2005, Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle and other royal residences were designated as protected sites. The law granted police the authority to arrest anyone trespassing on these properties without a warrant. It was a long overdue change, spurred in part by Fagan's Intrusion and the others that followed. Fagan later issued an apology through his solicitor. Along with everyone else in the world, I love Her Majesty the Queen. I have the deepest respect for her, and I believe she liked helping people, and I thought, well, she might help me. Your Majesty, please forgive my intrusion. I didn't expect it to become a global story, and all I wanted was to talk about my personal problems. After pleading guilty to taking a car without the owner's consent, Fagan was sent to a secure psychiatric hospital and released in early 1983. Fagan's later years were no less turbulent. In 1984, he assaulted a police officer in a cafe. In 1987, he was convicted of indecent exposure. And in 1997, he and members of his family were sentenced for heroin-related offences, and he served 4 years. In a 2012 interview, Fagan disputed the palace's version of events. He claimed the Queen didn't calmly keep him talking. He said she ran from the room barefoot, shouting, "What are you doing here?" in a voice like the finest glass you can imagine breaking. His story was dramatised in The Crown and the 2012 film Walking the Dogs. But Fagan wasn't pleased. He found his on-screen counterpart unflattering, too ugly, he said, and lacking charisma. Fagan wasn't the last to breach palace grounds. In 1994, American tourist James Miller paraglided naked onto the roof. A year later, a student rammed his car into the palace gates at high speed, and in 2016, a convicted murderer roamed the gardens for 10 minutes, asking guards, "Is Mom in?" In 2021, Daniel Bridges scaled 2 fences and entered the palace gardens for the second time. He was given a suspended sentence and banned from coming within 100 metres of any royal residence. The Queen never publicly spoke about what happened that morning, but it stuck with her. The image of a stranger in her bedroom alone, bleeding and babbling, became one of the most bizarre footnotes in the history of the modern monarchy. It exposed a vulnerability no one had considered, and it changed the law to ensure it wouldn't happen again. Still, for many, the surreal story lingers. A man, a bottle of wine, and a monarch who found herself face to face with the unimaginable and didn't flinch. If you'd like to support the channel and find all my links, just scan the QR code on screen. It'll take you to Patreon, social media, and even my books. Every bit of support helps me keep making videos like this. Even a thumbs up or comment on the video increases its chances of being seen by more people. So I really appreciate you being here, and thanks for watching.